What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today was going to be a little bit of a different video. We were going to try to do a $500 quarter box battle with Stack and Packing. He reached out to me on a comment on one of my previous quarter videos to ask if we could do something like that. And I said yes, but I went by the bank today, picked up my quarters, opened them at the bank like I always do, and unfortunately we have an entire box full of 2023 Philadelphia Kanake Ole quarters. So not really box battle worthy, but we're going to jump into at least a handful of these rolls to see if we can find any errors, any strike throughs, any grease strikes, any die chips, anything like that. I probably won't hunt the whole box, but we're going to jump in and see just how far I get. So this is roll number one. I just wanted to kind of open one live on camera to show you what we've got here. It does look like they're all 2023 Philadelphias. This looks like it was dropped and partially open, but you can see we've got the New George on that side. We've got the Kanake Ole on that side. These all look pretty darn good. Let's go ahead and get this one open on camera and just do a quick look through this first roll and see if anything jumps out at us. As for errors on this quarter, I have covered many of them on some previous videos, but I haven't found all of them yet. Just so you guys can see, these are brand spanking new. You can see the light reflecting off of them. Every single quarter is brand new, hot off the press. You will have bag marks and marks from being thrown in and rolled. But the error that I have found the most of is the die chips down in the in cues of the K and the A. Let me just show you one of these. There's a number of other errors that I've seen on eBay. Some die chips over here on her face, die chips in the K and the A. There's a strike through error that you can see. It shows up kind of here next to, I don't know what this is, the mountain. There's a feeder error that you can find up here. I saw somebody called it the fire on the mountain. I think there's still the die chip error on the nose that's out there, the drooling George. And there's a strike through you can see on the face of the coin as well. Now, I'm going to go through these looking for all of those and anything else that I find that jumps out at me. And I will, before I get into it, I did make an image that shows what the front of the quarter and the back of the quarter look like superimposed, and I'll throw that up on the screen so you guys can kind of see if we do happen to find a strike through, areas that we're looking at to see if we see that strike through. Or really, it's not even a strike through. I think it's a die clash is really what I'm talking about here. It's a die clash where the front shows up on the back or the back shows up a little bit on the front. That's kind of what we're hunting here. But enough of me jabbering. Let me just give a quick look to a few of these coins, and then I'll go off camera. And if anything jumps out at me, I will bring you guys back in. And just with my eyeglasses, the die clash and the die chips will be the easiest things to see, as well as the drooling George. And I will go nuts looking at 50 rolls of this, and that's why I say we'll see how far we get. I know I've tried to do a whole box in the past and just didn't get that far, maybe 15, 20 rolls in, before I started losing my eyesight. These are very pretty quarters. All right, well, I'm going to go off camera. I'll keep looking, and I'll bring you in as soon as we find something. So in the very first roll, we've found 6 die chip errors on the K, and some maybe even a little bit on the A, but I'll show you one of them here. You can see here we've got a huge piece of extra metal here down in the K. Not anything too valuable based on what I've seen on eBay, but that's one. I've got 6 of them, and they're a couple of them are a little different. That one's actually the same. This one I think is different. Yeah, you can see this one's on the other leg. We got a little bit here on the A. So I've got 2 like that and 4 like the first one I showed you. So the big blob down there at the bottom. Other than that, they've all been pretty identical. All right, gang. Well, I've made it through half the box, and I think I'm going to call it quits because I didn't just do the first 25 rolls. I kind of randomly picked rolls out, so I had a good mix of rolls throughout the entire box in case, you know, they maybe all came from the same production run, or maybe, you know, different dies might have been used and potentially different coins ended up in different rolls. Everything I've just kind of pushed towards the end after I've backfilled it. But after going through, I say $250, but I did pull 2 rolls for myself to keep of the 2023 Ps, because actually a lot of these coins look really, really good. So I really went through $230 worth of these. I did come up with tons and tons and tons of the same 3 errors, and I think I showed at least 2 of them off earlier in this video. It's actually a couple of days since I started this, because it's just hard to keep looking at the same quarter over and over again. So let's see what I can show you under the camera. I do have my scope set up if we need to move in. But all of these errors are on the back of the coin, and all the ones that I found are down here in the K and A of the Kanake Ole. As I said, I did spend a lot of time looking for the die clash, where you can see kind of the part of Washington's head there coming through here, and there's a finger feeding error where you get a bunch of scratches and marks in here. There's another one where there's a big die gouge all the way across her name. I mean, I searched and searched for those and didn't find any. The other one I did spend a good deal of time looking for was the wart on the nose and the drooling George. And the wart on the nose is basically just a die chip. Didn't find any of those. I have seen on eBay people really making a big deal out of this little bit of grease strike you see here. They did the same thing on the anime Wongs, where the I and the T are kind of missing. I'm not calling a lot of special attention to that, because there's a bunch of coins that had that on it, and people on eBay were getting a couple of bucks for it. I'll jump over there and show you that in a few, but I'm not going to make a really big deal out of that because it's just entirely too common. The other one that I saw was people claiming they had DDOs and DDRs in the word Liberty, and some slight doubling, I think, down here on either it was Ike or actually I think it was an Ole, which is NQs, which actually is an NQs error, not a doubling error, which lets you know those folks aren't quite sure what they're talking about. And a lot of the supposed DDOs in the word Liberty were actually machine doubling, and we'll look at those on eBay here in a minute as well. But anyway, to get back to the 3 main errors, and I've made a mess. Let me back out of here in my rows, and I can't remember which row I pulled this out of. So let's see what we have here. Actually, let's just get it under the scope because it'll be easier to see. So yep, this was one of them. Lots and lots of these where there was a die chip down here in the right-hand leg of the K, and a little bit of metal, a little bit of die chip here in the A, right about here. Lots and lots of those. I'll just grab another random one from that same row, and I'll show you another one, just so we can see how it's kind of the same thing. Here it is again. A little bigger die chip on the K, a little different here on the A, but more or less the same error. And I've probably got 20 of those pulled here, and I probably could have pulled 100 more. I actually stopped looking for this after I found 20 or 30 of them. The second one I think I did show you as well. Again, it's here in the K and the A, but it's on the left-hand leg of the K. So let's take a look at that under the scope. There it is. Great big die chip right here on the bottom part of the K. Nothing else really terribly wrong with the coin. Found lots and lots of these. I don't know exactly how many I pulled aside here. It's easily 18 to 20. Just grabbing another quarter to show you. They all look more or less the same. That's a second one. I'll grab a third one out of the stack just so you can see it. Really, really common. And because these are so common, it's why you'll find them on eBay, and they're only going for like $1. If you're one of the early people to find them and list them on eBay, you might get $3 or $4 or $5, but these will quickly settle in around $1. And the reason I don't sell these things too often is because if you think about it, you put it on eBay for $1. Typically, you're going to have to offer free shipping, or maybe, whatever, 50-cent shipping or something like that. The track stamp's going to cost you 80-something cents. The envelope's going to cost you another 10 or 15 cents. You're going to want to tape it or put it in a flip. That's another 15 or 20 cents in tape or a flip or what have you. And by the time you're done with eBay fees and PayPal fees and all that, your little dollar sale that you thought you were going to make some money on ends up earning you about 3 cents. you may even be losing money on it. So I just, when they're only worth $1, like I hang on to a lot of errors that are only worth $1 because I like them. But when they're this common and this easy to find, I might hang on to 3 or 4 or 5 of them, maybe flip up 1 or 2 really nice ones. And then I just start tossing them back because the value's just not there. This last one I haven't shown you, and what's interesting about this one is it seems to be a little bit different strike on these coins. And the reason I have more of them is because I could see them with my naked eye. These other two, you have to put them under the scope a little bit to see them well. But this other one, I'll see if I can show you just under the camera lens here. You can see the shadowing on that A is a little off, and you can see a little bump right here on the K. I can see that without putting it under magnification. The other thing was I mentioned the finish on it, or it was a little bit different. You can see we've got some, it's almost like a scuffing error on here. When I put it under the scope, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's really dull, this strike. It doesn't look shiny like it's fresh from the mint. So these just jumped out at me when I pulled them up. Again, weak I, weak T, it was just all over the place. There's another error that I looked for briefly, and it's where you get some feeder fingers here behind the ear. Let's see if I can, let's just give a look at this one underneath the scope on the front. There's the ear, there's nothing there. Now I did see something kind of interesting in the light. Give me just a second here. Come on. You can focus. Right there. I'm going to look at that in the next clip and see if that maybe is some sort of strike through or something, but that looks a little weird and a little off. So I'm going to give that a look because I don't think that's supposed to be there. But anyway, you can see under this magnification, it's a little bit dirty, like it's not real well polished, but you can tell it's a brand new quarter, like it doesn't have your typical circulation strikes on it. And let's get this under the scope so you can have a look. So this die chip is obviously much more severe. As I said, it's easier to see with the naked eye. Big chip here on the right hand leg of the K, and just a huge, and I don't know if that's a, some sort of gouge in the minting process, but it actually looks like leftover metal to me. So I think it is a die chip filling up that channel, because these are all NQs, which means they're stamped into the coin. They're not raised. So this is like little channels for that metal to get stuck in. And you can see how much metal got stuck in that A. And I just have tons of them. I mean, I can pick any one of these random ones up here and throw them in. Well, I got to flip it over so we can see it. I got so many of these. I threw a lot of them back. But you can see there's another one. And under the magnification, I'll even maybe give it one snap in. You can just see how it almost looks like it's sandblasted, right? It's not nice and shiny and clean and flat. It's very pitted, if that's maybe another way to say it. Anyhow, those are the 3 major finds I have. Let's jump over to the computer and look at eBay and see what errors eBay is saying is out there. And I'll talk about a couple of them, and you'll see that I'm not lying about a lot of these going for like $1. So let's jump over to the computer. So before we jump over to eBay, I did want to show you guys just sort of the Affinity Photo. This is a new app I've been using on my Mac. I really like it. It's only like $50-something, way cheaper than using Photoshop. I basically made me a Kanake Ole strike-through guide. So you can see this is the reverse of Washington's head, showing through the reverse of Kanake Ole. And anywhere that you see Washington's head is where you might see some raised area on the back of the coin, and vice versa. So if you're looking at the front of the coin and you see a big swoosh out here, that's a strike through from the reverse. And the main reason I wanted to point this up is that last quarter I showed you, it looked like I had a little bit of a line down here by the ear. That looked like it was just a mark actually on the coin, and the light was a little deceptive on it, because you can see it's not a strike through. Otherwise, we would see something on the reverse that looked like that line or that arrow coming through here, and it's just not there. So I don't think that little mark that I saw was anything special. But this little picture will give you a good idea of areas that you can look for that possibly are showing as strike-throughs on either the front or back of the coin. So quickly coming over here to eBay, let's just look at some of the recently sold listings. Here's somebody that claimed they have a DDO. If we drill in, you'll see pretty quickly it is machine doubling. Now, this image is, I believe, just poorly lit from the person's microscope, or it's machine doubling, basically compounded with some really poor lighting on their microscope. I think if they were to filter that light down, get some shadows on that, a lot of that doubling would go away. But hey, somebody paid $4 for it and paid $5 shipping, so they did okay. But this gives, you know, people on eBay a bad name for shipping coins that, quite frankly, aren't errors. This is one where there's some feeder marks behind the ear. Again, $5 for that. If you can find something like that, that's pretty cool, especially if it stays up around $5. 63 cents shipping, I don't even think covers the shipping cost. At least eBay's track shipping, and it certainly doesn't cover flips, envelopes, tape, etc. So you're probably going to lose a little bit of money on your shipping costs there. A lot of the rest of these you can see missing the eye and In God We Trust. This is that little grease error I was talking about. I've probably got 100 of these that I just didn't pull. But let me see here if I can get into the original listing. And they don't even have a good close-up of it. But you can see down there, you can still see the I and the T. It's, you know, this is not worth $1.50. But hey, it's worth what people will pay for it. And they offered free shipping, so you got to figure they lost about 80 cents in this sale. Plus fees, you know, they paid a quarter for their quarter. They didn't make that much money. Now, the die chip on the nose, the wart, whatever you want to call it, the pimple, these typically do go for pretty good money, especially if they're big. So if you can find those, you know, $5 is pretty good. I've seen them go $2.50, $3. So keep an eye out for that. Here's a slightly different die chip than what I had. I have had other hunts where I have found this exact same die chip on my Kanake Ole. $2 plus 99-cent shipping. Maybe you could make a few bucks on these if you found a whole roll of them and could sell them one at a time. That's probably worth it. And I'll punch this into sale calc in a minute and show you why I say that's maybe worth it. A lot of these are going to be other little die chip errors, $1, $1.30. Die chip error on the A. This looks very much like the one I showed you, 99 cents, 87 cents shipping. Again, missing the I and In God We Trust. Die chip on the K, we have lots of those, $2 plus free shipping. So you guys get the point. Now, this one says it's a die clash. I haven't dug into it, but if it's a good one, it should go for a lot more than $4. This is the only one that kind of got my attention. Actually, well, let's talk about both of these really quickly. This one looks really good on Liberty. It initially made me think this could actually be like a double die. But you can see because the B is kind of smeared and stair-step down, this is more classic machine doubling. And I know we can see two Bs, right? You have the B here and you have a little B underneath it. But that is just where the die slid. And they're claiming they've got some doubling on the reverse as well. And it's just more, where is it? They do have a little die chip as well on this coin. Yeah, they're calling this double die on the back. That's NQs, so there's no way that's a double die. That's an NQs error at best, but it's very, very minor. So, you know, good for this guy to have gotten $10, but I would feel bad selling this for anything other than, you know, maybe $1 or $2 and calling it machine doubling, and I'd probably never sell it at that price. The other one is very similar to that. Again, it's somebody with some NQs doubling, and it's very, very minor, but they got $6 plus free shipping, so can't argue with that. Here's somebody that had the big pimple. Like I said, the big die chip's worth looking for. This guy got $25 plus $5 shipping. That's worth selling. This is crazy. Somebody got $6 for that. But, you know, these were things I just didn't find today outside of this one, which, again, I'd feel bad listing that for $6. Most of mine were this, you know, this kind of stuff, $1. Just not worth it. So I mentioned sale calc. Let's look at that real quick. I've covered it on other videos. This is a great little resource to come over to see if selling something on eBay is worth it. So let's say the guy that sold his for $1.99, I think he charged 83 cents shipping. He had one of them. Your item cost is 25 cents. Let's say your shipping cost is, I want to say eBay's like 89 cents, or let's say it's call it 85 cents. And let's throw 20 cents on that for, you know, an envelope, tape, etc. So what did I say? That's going to be, we'll call it $1.05 in total shipping expenditures. So your net profit on that quarter is 51 cents. Now, if you're willing to sit down and ship out, 100 of these, you can turn that into some decent money. If you've got 4 or 5 of them, it's really not worth your time, in my opinion. Now, when you get the same thing and you're selling them for $4.99 a pop, okay, now you're making $3 a piece on them. And if you've got 10 or 15 or 20 or a whole roll of them, that can turn into some reasonably good money. So anyway, that's why I always kind of come over to Sale Calc before I bother selling something, because when you're talking about $1 and free shipping, you can see you're actually losing money on something like that. Even though you only paid a quarter for it, you're losing money. So with that said, let's jump back over to our coins and we'll wrap this one up. All right, so we're almost boxed up and ready to go back to the bank. I'm going to go through these and maybe pull 5 or 10 of the best ones of each of these particular errors, maybe not even that many, and I'll keep those for my collection. The rest I'll roll back up and put them back in circulation for you guys to find. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this one. I wish I'd found a few more different varieties of errors on this one, because I know there's more different die chips on the back of that coin. I just couldn't find them today, and definitely didn't find anything on the front. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you guys watching these videos all the way to the end. If you did like this one, drop on down below, click that like button, and leave me a comment. And if you're new to the channel and you like coin roll hunts, this was a pretty bad one because we did an entire box of the exact same quarter, and that's usually not all that exciting. But it is a good way to learn a little bit about some of the errors and die chips and things that are out there. Typically, we hunt quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies, half dollars, you name it, we hunt it on this channel. So if you're new, click that subscribe button and click that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I do release a new video. Special thanks to our channel members. We're down to 2 of them now. But I need to start doing some live streaming and get a few more members. But if you are a member, one of the perks is you do get my videos a little bit early, typically a day, maybe 2, before the rest of the world. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.